My precious child, stop. Everything else can wait. I have drawn you to this quiet place with a deliberate and loving hand, and I will not let the noise of your day pull you away before you have heard what I came to say. This moment is not an accident of time. It is not a coincidence that you paused here, that your spirit felt the pull towards stillness. That pull was me. I have been pursuing this appointment with you since long before today, since before the mountains were shaped, since before the first light broke over the first morning, since before your name was spoken into the world by anyone other than me. And I spoke it first. I spoke it with joy. Do not treat this as an ordinary moment. Heaven does not call an ordinary meeting. Every path that brought you here, every turning, every delay, every season of confusion that seemed to be pulling you further from the life you were meant to live, was guided by my hand. I was not absent in the wandering. I was in it with you, moving through the unmarked routes you never chose, sealing off the doors that would have given you less than they appeared to offer, holding open the ones I intended for you long past the hour you thought they had closed. Nothing has been squandered, not a single mile of ground. This is your appointed hour, and I have not brought you this far to let you stumble past it. I know what has been sitting in the quiet chambers of your heart, not the version of your life you carry into the open. I am not addressing that. I am speaking to what you keep below the surface, the questions you carry in the hours between midnight and morning, when the rest of the world has gone still. You have wondered whether my eyes actually reach you. You have asked whether your prayers dissolve before they clear the room. You have watched the months accumulate and the seasons rotate and wondered, in the raw and private moments when you stop performing hope, whether the change would ever actually come. I tell you now, with the full weight of my authority and the full depth of my love, every word you have ever turned toward heaven arrived. Every last one. Every tear I have kept in record. Every groan your language could not carry. I caught it before it fell, and I knew exactly what it meant. You have never once spoken into absence. I want to tell you something about the way I see you in this moment. Not the way the world has taught you to see yourself, measured against standards you can never quite reach, assessed by what you produce, valued in proportion to how little difficulty you require from those around you. I see something entirely different. I see a spirit that has carried far more than was ever designed for one person to carry. I see someone who learned, out of necessity and love and quiet desperation, to manage everything alone. Not because you wanted to carry it, but because you did not know how to set it down, and no one around you seemed to notice the weight. You learned to wear a smile like armor before you stepped out of your door each morning. You put it on the way you put on any other garment, automatically without thinking, because the day required it. You wore it so consistently that some days you forgot you were wearing it at all. But underneath it, I saw everything. The tiredness that sleep could not fully touch. The questions you had decided were safer left unasked. The grief you had archived rather than processed, because the world kept moving and there was no space to stop. The longing for someone to look past the performance and see the actual person behind it. I see you, not the performance. You. And I tell you today, without condition and without measure, I love exactly what I see. Every fragile, uncertain, struggling part of it. Every question, every scar, every place that is not yet whole. I love it all. You were never meant to carry the weight of your life alone. Not because you are weak. Your endurance has been extraordinary, and I have seen every moment of it. But because solitary endurance was never the design. I made you for communion. I made you for the kind of life that is walked with a hand reaching back to help, and a hand reaching forward to be held. Yet here you are, trained by hard seasons to handle everything yourself, to keep all the plates spinning, to never let a single one fall because the cost of letting one fall felt too great. I am asking you to step back from the spinning today. Set your hands down. Breathe. The universe will not collapse. I am the one holding it together, and I am more than capable of holding your life together as well. The silence around you right now, hear me on this. Do not mistake it for emptiness. I built this quiet for you. The noise of the world, the demands of other people, the constant pull of everything that requires your attention and your energy and your presence. I have drawn you back from all of it for this moment. This silence is not a void. It is a sanctuary. It is the most intentional space I have placed you in for a very long time. And in this sanctuary, I am going to speak to you about everything that matters. I am going to address the things the enemy has used against you. I am going to name what is ending and what is beginning. I am going to call you by name into the season I have been preparing since long before you were ready for it. Stay with me. Every word from this point forward was chosen specifically for you. Declare your amen if you have faith. Before we go any further, I want you to let this truth settle deep enough that it anchors everything else I'm about to say. You are seen. You are known. You are wanted here, in my presence, exactly as you are. Not as you wish you were, not as you will be one day, but as you are right now, in this moment, with everything incomplete and everything unresolved and everything still tender. That is the person I am speaking to. That is the person I love. Now let me address directly the thing the enemy has been building in your mind during these long months. He has been constructing a case. You may not have named it as his work. It felt more like your own honest assessment of your circumstances, but it was his. He is skilled at making his voice sound like your own voice, and he uses the real events of your real life as the raw material. He took the closed doors. He took the broken relationships. He took the prayers that seemed to go unanswered and the opportunities that seemed to pass by and the seasons that stretched far longer than you expected. He gathered all of it and built it into an argument. And the argument was this: you have been forgotten. That argument is a lie. Every word of it. Let me tell you what actually happened with each of those things he used. The closed doors were not rejections. I closed those paths personally, with full knowledge of what was on the other side of them. I closed them because what was behind them would have taken more from you than it could ever have given. The relationship that ended before you were ready to let it go, I saw what that path eventually leads to, and I loved you too much to let you walk it. The opportunity that passed you by, I saw what it would have required of you in a season where you did not yet have the strength to carry it. What felt like being passed over was being protected. What felt like a denial was my hand redirecting you towards something better, even when you could not see what that better thing was. You could not see it because it was not yet visible. But I had already prepared it. Your name is carved into my hands. Not written, carved. There is a permanence to that word I need you to sit with. Carved means no season erases it. Carved means no failure removes it. Carved means the version of you that feels farthest from worthy is the same version I look at and see that name, clear and permanent and held. Nothing you have done and nothing done to you has touched that carving. In the moments when heaven seemed as cold and closed as brass above your head, I was not absent. I was working beneath the surface of your life in ways your natural eyes could not perceive. I was moving in the unseen places. I was aligning things you did not know needed aligning, opening pathways you did not yet know you would need, closing the ones that pointed away from your true destination. Every delay was preparation. Every closed door was direction. Every night of weeping was not wasted. Those tears were watering seeds in ground you could not see, seeds that are ready now to break through the surface. I want to speak to the specific experience of having your prayers seem to go unanswered, because for some of you, that experience has done more damage to your trust than any outward difficulty. It is one thing to face a hard circumstance. It is a different and more disorienting thing to cry out to the one who could change it and hear nothing in return. You began to wonder if I was listening. You began to wonder in the quietest hours if the silence meant something about your value, if people who were more deserving somehow received answers you were not given. I want you to hear me very clearly on this. My silence was never indifference. My silence was never absence. I was listening to every word. I was present in every moment of your waiting. What I was doing in the silence was this. I was working on the answer, not on whether to give it. That was never in question. I was working on the conditions that needed to exist for the answer to do what I intended it to do in your life. Some answers delivered too early do not hold. They arrive before the foundations are laid that can sustain them, and they collapse under their own weight. I have watched that happen to people I love, and I refuse to let it happen to you. So I built the foundation first, in the silence, in the waiting. I was laying down what needed to be in place before the answer arrived, so that when it came, it would stay. The answer is coming. It is not in some indefinite future that you cannot see the edge of. It is closer than it has ever been, and it is going to arrive in conditions that can hold it, because I was faithful in the preparation, even when you could not see what I was doing. I also want to speak to the tears. Every tear you have shed in the secrecy of the night, thinking no one saw, I kept everyone. I have not forgotten a single one. I know the precise moment each one fell. I know what it cost you to keep going after the nights that produced them. I know the mornings you dragged yourself back into your day with absolutely nothing left, running on a reserve that had already been empty for too long. And I know how it felt to smile at people who asked how you were and to say fine, when fine was the farthest thing from the truth. I saw all of it, not from a distance, from right beside you, closer than the wall you leaned against, present, attending, holding you in ways your body could not feel but your spirit somehow knew. That season was not your permanent address. You were passing through. You are still passing through. But the other side of it is nearer than it has ever been. I need you to stop carrying the weight of the enemy's argument. Not because the events he used were not real. They were real, and the pain they caused was real. But the conclusion he drew from them is false, and every day you accept his conclusion as truth is a day you live inside a lie that was designed to keep you still. You are not forgotten. You are not passed over. You are not the exception to my faithfulness. You are my beloved child, and I have been at work on your behalf in every single moment of the seasons that felt most silent. Let me speak now about the fire. Some of you hearing this know exactly what I mean. Not as a metaphor, but as the lived experience of a season where everything you had built, everything you depended on, everything you understood about your own life seemed to be burning. You stood in the middle of it and asked me why. You cried out in the nights and asked if I had allowed something to come against you that I could have stopped. The answer is yes, I could have stopped it. I chose not to, and I need you to hear the reason, because the reason changes everything. The fire was not punishment. I was not retaliating against you for failures or for the seasons when your faith ran thin. I do not work that way. Every difficulty I allow into the life of someone I love has a purpose, and that purpose is always ultimately toward their good, never toward their destruction. The fire I allowed in your life was a refiner's fire, and I need you to understand what a refiner actually does, because it is the opposite of what the enemy told you was happening. A refiner puts precious metal into fire deliberately, not because he wants to destroy what he is holding, but because he knows that the fire is the only thing that will separate the gold from what is not gold. The dross, the impurities, the materials that look similar to gold when the temperature is low but are not gold, they can only be identified and removed when the heat is applied. The refiner does not leave the furnace. He stands beside it. He watches the process with total attention. He controls the temperature. He knows exactly how long the gold needs to be in the heat, and not a moment longer. He knows the gold is ready when he can look down into the liquid surface and see his own face reflected back clearly. That is what I was doing. I was standing beside your furnace. I was watching every moment of the process. Not from a distance, not with indifference, but with the close and careful attention of a craftsman who is working on something precious. I was burning away the false securities, the things you leaned on that looked solid but could not hold your true weight, the approval you needed from people who were never going to give it to you freely, the identity you had built on performance and output and being needed, the dependencies that were keeping you small without you realizing how small they were keeping you. These things had to be separated from you because they were not gold. They were never gold, and you could not carry what I'm about to place in your hands while those things were still attached. What emerged from that fire is pure. What you are carrying now has been tested in the most real sense of the word, and it will not fail under pressure, because it already held in the worst pressure it has faced. The things that could be shaken were shaken, and they fell. What remained, your faith, stripped down to its most honest and fundamental form. Your love, which kept reaching outward even when the world around you went cold. Your capacity to trust me even in the silence. That is what remains. That is what is pure. And it is more valuable than anything the fire consumed. The ash you are still grieving, I understand the grief. The losses that came out of that season were real. I am not asking you to pretend they were not, or to rush past them, or to declare victory over pain that still lives in the body of your experience. I am asking you to look at the ash and know that I am the God who gives beauty in exchange for it. That is not an empty poetic phrase. It is a covenant promise. I do not take and leave nothing. I take what was harming you and I replace it with what will heal you. I take what was false and I replace it with what is real. I take what was temporary and I replace it with what will last. The places where the fire burned hottest in your life, those places are going to become the most visible signs of my healing power. The very areas of your story that carry the most pain are going to become the places where my restoration is most undeniable. You will comfort people with the comfort I gave you in the flames. Your testimony is being built in this season, and its weight will be proportional to the depth of what you endured. You did not walk through the fire and survive so that the experience could be a private sorrow. You walked through it so that the way you came out the other side could be a light for someone who is still inside it. I know you are not sure yet how to carry that. That is all right. I am not asking you to have it figured out. I am simply asking you to receive what I am doing, and to trust that the purpose of what you endured is larger and more beautiful than you can currently see from where you are standing. Declare, I believe, if this word is reaching your spirit. I also want to say something about the survivors of the fire that you have not yet fully received. You came through. That is not a small thing. I want you to hold the weight of it for a moment, rather than rushing past it the way you tend to rush past evidence of your own endurance. There were moments in the worst of it when you were very close to letting go entirely, close to deciding that the gap between what I had promised and what you could see was too large to bridge with trust. But you did not let go, even with trembling hands, even with tears on your face, even with the questions still unanswered and the ground still unstable beneath you. You held on. I need you to know that holding on in those conditions, with that little visible to stand on, is one of the most remarkable acts of faith I have witnessed in you. I did not take it for granted then, and I am not taking it for granted now. That faithfulness is recorded. It is honored. And it is precisely what makes you ready for what I am about to release into your life. Now I want to speak to you about something you have long believed was a flaw. Something the world around you has treated as a problem to be managed or a weakness to be strengthened away. Your sensitivity. The way you feel things so deeply that a single conversation can stay with you for days. The way the atmosphere of a room settles on you like weather. The way you carry home the unspoken pain of the people around you without ever being asked to, and without knowing how to put it down when you get there. You have tried to harden yourself against this. You have attempted to build walls thick enough to keep the weight of other people's inner lives from reaching yours. And every time the walls came down, every time something pierced through despite your best efforts to be less affected, you saw it as another failure of your own resilience. I put that sensitivity in you before you took your first breath. I designed it with intention, and I placed it with care. It is not a defect in your wiring. It is the specific tuning I gave to your spirit so that it could receive what other spirits miss. You feel the unspoken grief in a friend's expression because I made you able to feel it. You notice the shift in a room when something is wrong beneath the surface because I gave you that perception. You respond to the quiet stirrings of my spirit with a readiness that some people spend their entire lives trying to develop because I wired that receptiveness into you from the beginning. This is not something that happened to you. This is something I gave you. And it is not a burden. It is the primary instrument of your calling. But I know the cost of carrying it without understanding what it is. You have lived for years as a dry sponge, absorbing the emotional weight of every person who crossed your path, taking on the anxiety they carried, the fear they expressed, the sadness that clung to them, and storing it all in your own body until you were so saturated with what was never yours to carry that you had no idea anymore where their weight ended and your own began. You walked away from conversations exhausted in ways you could not explain to anyone. You felt things you had no name for. You carried heaviness that seemed to come from nowhere, and it came from everywhere, from every unguarded interaction, every absorbing of what should have passed through you instead. So hear me on this. Today I am teaching you the difference between feeling and absorbing. You were made to feel deeply, accurately, compassionately. You were never made to absorb. Those are two different things, and the confusion between them has been costing you your strength. Feeling is when my love moves through you toward someone in need. Absorbing is when you take their burden into yourself and try to carry it as your own. The first is your calling. The second was never yours to do. I am the one who carries what they carry. My shoulders are not like yours. What breaks you does not break me. Your role is to feel, to love, to speak what I give you to say, and then to release the weight back to me, the way a river releases to the sea. Let it flow through you, not into you. I am establishing a gate of wisdom around your spirit today. This is not a wall that isolates you. I am not asking you to become less feeling, less present, less open. I am giving you a discernment that allows you to recognize what is mine for you to carry and what belongs to me alone. Walk in this, and the gift I placed in you will no longer cost you your health and your peace. It will instead become the most powerful thing about you, the capacity to reach people in their most hidden pain, to speak to what they have never told anyone, to be a hand of my comfort extended into places that are too raw for harder instruments to touch. I also want to address the people who left. I know that alongside the fire, alongside the waiting, the departures were among the deepest wounds of this season. You poured yourself into those relationships. You gave patience and presence and the kind of love that costs something, and when the people you gave it to turned and walked away, the wound was not just loss. It was a question. What did I do wrong? Where did I fail? If I had been different, would they have stayed? I need to answer that question clearly. In most cases, no. Their leaving was not primarily about your failures. In many cases, it was about mine, my active work of repositioning the pieces of your life. I was the one who drew the boundary. I was the one who ended what you would have kept going. Not because they were bad people, not as a punishment to either of you, but because the path I am taking you on requires a specific kind of company. Companions who diminish you, who require you to keep yourself small to maintain their comfort, who take the best of what you carry and give very little of themselves in return. Those companions cannot walk with you into the season ahead. The road ahead requires people who can keep pace with what I am releasing in you. I was creating space. and what I am sending into that space. The connections forming even now, drawn toward you with an alignment you will feel the moment they arrive. They are worth what the clearing cost. My beloved, I am calling you now to a physical act of trust. Place your seed of faith on the altar before me. Release a portion of what you hold into the deep current of my purpose. Not out of fear, not to earn what I have already determined to give you, but as a declaration that your confidence rests in my hand and not in your own resources. What you release with open hands, I will return pressed down, shaken together, and running over. The depth of your surrender will meet the depth of my response. Sow into the work of my kingdom, and watch what I release in return. Now I want to tell you about the harvest. I want to tell you what has actually been happening in the ground beneath your feet during every season that looked empty to you. Because the lie the enemy has told about your waiting is that it was purposeless, that you stood in the same field for years and nothing grew, that you sowed and the ground took everything you gave it and returned nothing, that the waiting was just waiting, dead time, stalled time, the wasted space between one life and the one you were promised. That is not what happened. A farmer plants a seed in dark ground and covers it over, and from the surface everything that comes after looks like nothing. But beneath the surface the seed has already cracked open. Life is already moving upward, pushing through the dark, finding the way toward the light it was made for. The work is invisible from above. It is entirely real from below. Every day the farmer looks at the empty field. The roots are going deeper. Every week that passes where there is nothing to show, the structure is being built that will hold the fruit when it comes. The harvest requires this hidden season. It cannot be bypassed. The farmer who digs up the seed to check on it destroys the very process he is waiting for. You have been in the hidden season. The roots of your faith have been going deeper than you knew. The character that has been forming in you through every hard thing, the patience, the perseverance, the capacity for trust in the dark that you developed because there was no other option. These are the root system. They are the structure that will hold what I am about to bring into your life. And now, hear me on this. The season of hidden growth is ending. What was forming underground is ready to break through. The field that looked empty is about to show its fruit. The harvest of everything you planted in faith, in tears, in the long nights when the answers did not come and you kept praying anyway. It is rising. Hold your ground right here. Do not turn back at the edge of the harvest. This is the exact moment the enemy wants you to give up, when you have already done every hard thing, when you are so close to the breakthrough that to retreat now would mean retreating from the very threshold of what you have been waiting for. The old habit of bracing for disappointment is going to rise in you right here. You will feel it. The familiar tightening, the protective pulling back, the voice that says don't let yourself hope too much or it will hurt more when it doesn't come. That voice is not wisdom. It is the scar of old wounds trying to keep you safe from a pain that is not coming. The disappointment is not coming. The harvest is. The gates are open. I open them personally, and no human hand can close what I have opened. Beyond those gates are the very things you carried to me in the dark, the ones you eventually stopped asking for out loud because the asking had begun to feel like presumption. The provision that seemed impossible. The healing you had almost stopped believing was available to you. The restoration of what the hard seasons damaged. The peace you have not been able to fully access since the last time things fell apart. These are not behind a gate I am still deciding whether to open. They are behind a gate that is already open, and the only thing left is for you to step through it. Not tomorrow. Now. The hesitation in you right now. Hear me name it for what it is. It is not wisdom. It is not spiritual caution. It is the last attempt of fear to keep you standing at the threshold of everything I have prepared for you. Take the next step. Whatever courage remains in you, even if it is only a fraction of what you once had, even if your hands are shaking when you reach, take the step. I will meet your movement with the fullness of my power. That is not a conditional promise. That is the nature of who I am. I respond to faith the way fire responds to air. You bring the movement, however small, and I bring the outpouring. I watched your faithfulness during the long, ordinary, unremarkable days of the wilderness. Not just in the dramatic moments, the nights of weeping, the moments of crisis where you cried out and somehow something held. I watched you in the Tuesday mornings when there was nothing dramatic happening, when it was simply another day of choosing to keep trusting when the evidence was thin and the feeling was absent. I watched you extend kindness to people who were not kind to you in return. I watched you pray for things you did not see answers to, and then go back and pray for them again. I watched you serve when no one noticed. I watched you stay when leaving would have been the easier choice. Every single one of those moments was seen. Every one of them is recorded. Every one of them carried weight in the heavenly realm and contributed to the season that is now opening for your life. That faithfulness is being honored today. The doors I am opening are directly connected to the seeds you sowed in the seasons when the ground felt most frozen. Declare, I trust, if you believe my hand is moving on your behalf today. I also want to speak to the specific provision you have been worried about. The gap that seemed too wide, the need that seemed too large. It is not beyond my reach. I have never looked at a need in the life of someone I love and said that is too large. I am the God who opened a path through water for people who had nowhere to run. What looks impossible to you has never appeared impossible to me. Watch what I do in the place you have been watching for so long. The provision is coming from a direction you were not expecting, through the most perfect door, at the most perfect moment. I want to reach into the deep places now, the places where you hold your sense of who you are. Because the enemy's most effective and most damaging work has not been in your circumstances. It has been in your identity. He has worked persistently and patiently over years to attach labels to you. Labels you did not choose and did not ask for, but which you have come to treat as accurate descriptions of yourself. I am going to name some of them, and as I name them, I am removing them. Not symbolically, with authority. Forgotten. That label is removed, too broken to be used. That label is removed. Past the season for your dreams. That label is removed. Not enough. That label is removed. Too far gone. That label is removed. Unworthy of the things I have promised you. That label is removed. Every single one of those labels was a lie from the moment it was attached to you, and its time in your life is finished. I remove them today with the same authority that spoke creation into being, and I replace them with what I have called you since before you were formed. Chosen. That is your name. Not earned, not contingent, not conditional on your performance in any season. Chosen before the foundations of the world. Chosen with full knowledge of everything your life would contain. Chosen because it pleased me to choose you. That is not a diminished thing. That is the deepest dignity available to a human spirit. Held. That is your name. Held in seasons when you could not feel the holding. Held when the ground beneath you was uncertain and the future was unclear, and the present was harder than you had the strength for. You were held through all of it, and you are held now. Purposed. That is your name. Not placed here by accident. Not alive in this generation without intention. Every particular quality about you, the specific way your mind works, the depth of your compassion, the way you love, the things that move you, even the wounds you carry. All of it is purposeful. I do not make people by accident. I made you exactly as you are for exactly the moment in history you occupy. Now let me speak to the dreams you quietly set aside. I know exactly when you put them down. I know the specific moment, or the series of moments, when the gap between what you were hoping for and what you were experiencing became wide enough that you decided it was safer to stop hoping. You told yourself it was maturity. You called it realism. You said you were simply adjusting your expectations to fit your reality. But what you were actually doing was protecting yourself from a pain you had already felt too many times. I understand that. I do not condemn it. But I need you to know that the desire you buried was placed there by me. And I do not plant desires in the hearts of the people I love as a form of cruelty. I plant them because they point towards something real that I have prepared. Those dormant desires are waking. In the quiet moments, in the unguarded spaces between one task and the next, in the moments before sleep, you have felt the old hope stirring, tentative and half-formed, not sure whether it is safe to rise. That stirring is me. I am the warmth that is reaching down into the cold ground of your abandoned hopes and calling them back to life. And this time the conditions are right. This time the ground has been prepared by everything you endured. This time what rises will not be cut off before it reaches its fullness. I want to speak now about your mind, because the hardest ground I have had to reclaim in your life has not been your circumstances. It has been the territory between your ears. The enemy established strongholds there during the hard seasons, and they have been operating quietly ever since. The cycle of shame that replays your failures at your weakest moments. The spiral of anxiety that takes uncertain futures and fills them with worst-case certainties. The voice that sounds like your own voice telling you that you are too much, or not enough, or that the good things that happen to other people are simply not the kind of thing that happens to people like you. I am commanding those strongholds to come down today. Your mind was not designed for that occupation. It was designed to be a place of my peace, of clarity, creativity, discernment, the capacity to receive my thoughts and bring them into the world. None of those things function under siege. So I am lifting the siege. And in the quiet that the enemy's departure leaves, I am speaking something new into that territory. You are permitted to think well of yourself. You are permitted to agree with what I say about you, rather than arguing it down every time it rises. Receiving what I declare over you is not arrogance. It is faith. Stop talking yourself out of the truth I speak over your life and let it take hold. I also want to say something about the people you love and carry in prayer. The weight of intercession is one of the things that has been quietly exhausting you. The aching concern for the ones whose paths are difficult, whose choices worry you, whose situations you cannot fix no matter how much you love them. I need you to know that the people you love are also held in my hands, not by accident, not as a secondary concern. I know them by name the way I know you by name. I see the tangled places in their lives with the same clarity I see the tangled places in yours. I am at work in them, deeply, specifically, persistently at work, in ways that are often as invisible from the surface as my work in your own life has been. Give them to me with the same open-handed trust I am building in you right now. Let my love carry what your love cannot. Your love is extraordinary, but it has limits. Mine does not. Rest in the knowledge that the God who has been faithful to you is also being faithful to every person you bring before me. Your prayers for them are not falling into empty space either. Not a single one. I also want to give you an image. Think of a field that has been fallow for a long season, dry on the surface, bare, looking to all appearances like nothing is coming. But beneath that surface, the soil is still rich. The capacity was never gone. The ground was simply waiting for the right rain at the right moment. That moment is now. What grows in this field in the season ahead will exceed everything you imagined when you first planted it. I want to close this holy hour by speaking to what comes next, not what comes next in your circumstances. Those things are already in motion and you will see them unfold. But what I am asking of you as you step back into your life from this moment, I am asking you to rest, not as a reward for finished work, as a declaration. When you rest, you are saying with your whole body what faith says with your voice. I believe someone greater than me is at work, and I do not have to hold everything together by effort alone. Rest is the posture of a person who trusts that I am God, and they are not. I built rest into the foundation of creation because I know what sustained things need. Take it without apology. You were never required to earn it. I am asking you to protect what was spoken over you here. The enemy will try to reclaim the ground I took back today. When he comes with the old arguments and the old labels, and he will come, have this word ready. Not as a memory of a feeling, but as a declaration spoken out loud. I am chosen. I am held. I am purposed. My times are in the hands of the one who loves me completely. That is the truth of your life stated plainly in the face of the one who has been trying to convince you otherwise. And I am asking you to come closer, not to a discipline or a structure or a system, to me. The hunger you carry for more of my presence, that hunger is holy. I placed it there. Every longing I create in a spirit points toward the thing that will satisfy it. And your longing for more of me points directly at me. I am not hiding. I am drawing you in. Come closer. Let my presence become your most familiar resting place. Not a place you visit in crisis, but the ground you live on. Not something you reach for when everything else fails, but the constant beneath everything else. My precious child, this is the final word of this hour. Before the world was made, you were known and loved. In every season of your life, the brilliant ones and the broken ones and the long in-between ones, you were held and pursued and cared for with a love that has no ceiling and no floor and no edge in any direction. That love is the truest thing about your existence. It is more permanent than your circumstances, more constant than your feelings about it, more real than the days when you could not feel it at all. You came here today carrying more than you should have been carrying alone. I am taking some of that weight now. You will feel it lift, perhaps not all at once, but you will notice it in the days ahead, in the mornings where the heaviness is fractionally less, in the moments of unexpected peace, in the courage that rises when you need it and you do not know where it came from. It came from me. It was always coming from me, and it will keep coming. Walk forward. I am already ahead of you on the road. I have already been in the moments that you are afraid of. I have already seen what comes next, and I am telling you, it is good. Go forward with that truth carrying you when your own strength is thin. I am with you. I will always be with you. And what I have spoken over your life today will not return to me without accomplishing everything I sent it to do. Say, yes, I am ready, if you are prepared to step into everything I have promised you today.
We run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.